Tyler Kolek is shocking everybody, and this is shown once again in the game that the New York Knicks just won against the Charlotte Hornets, the first game of the new look Knicks, and we're back to break it down. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris and Dariel here. It has been way too long, bro, but we're finally back. We're finally on the duos. The New York Knicks are back. Basketball season is among us. And the way this started off was seeing the new look Knicks, obviously, with Brunson, Mikal Bridges in the Knicks jersey, Karl Anthony Towns, returning players like Josh Hart and Deuce McBride, but a whole new regime has come in. But here's the deal, Dariel. Tyler Kolek is shocking everybody and looks like he has a very good chance of doing exactly what Emmanuel quickly did, which was show up in preseason, look like an established NBA veteran, go out there and earn himself a full-time rotational spot as a backup guard. As we know, the Knicks like to use Deuce as a two-guard. They like him next to Brunson. They started him in the playoffs, and he played really well. They have Cameron Payne. They have Tyler Kolek. Kolek definitely played better than Cameron Payne tonight. Dude, first of all, it's just good to be back on the duos with you, but, I mean, what'd you see in Kolek? I loved this.
All right, first and foremost, let me say the duos are back, baby. Let's go. The Knick duos, the best duo of all time, is back in the game. Let's go. Yo, it's been a minute. Missed you, my guy. I'm glad the preseason started, so now we could get these duos back. But as far as the game and as far as Kolek himself, obviously it's a preseason game, so we're not gonna overreact. But what I did like that I saw from Kolek, Alan Hahn and Mike Breen, they were talking about it during the telecast. You can tell that he has like a feel for the game, and that's something that it's definitely an eye test kind of thing. Obviously, there's the whole statistical revolution going on and analytics, but you know me, I'm more of an eye test kind of guy. And when the Knicks actually drafted him, I went on my YouTube search, I looked up all his Marquette highlights, and the one thing that I took away was just like, he knew how to play. He knew when to make the right pass. He knew when to attack. He knew when to set up his teammate. And tonight was another example of that. And like his first NBA bucket, he got a block, and then in transition, Cameron Payne hit him for the three. So that was like a great sequence right there for him. But as far as Kolek, I don't know if he's gonna get a lot of minutes this season, depending on injuries and stuff like that. But I just like that he has like a good natural feel for the game. Besides Kolek, I mean, I think Deuce McBride is another talking point that we could have. Deuce looked good, man. Deuce looked really good. Like, he impressed me a lot more than I was expecting. Finished the game with 22 points. Finished the game 8 of 18 from the field, which is 45%. 4 of 9 from three-point land, 44.4% as well. Deuce, oh man, I don't want to put this pressure on him, but we're kind of gonna need him a lot this season. And he has a full season under his belt with getting important minutes, getting substantial minutes. So Deuce is definitely something else that popped out to me in today's preseason game.
Yeah, I mean, looking at Deuce last season, 8 points per game, 1.5 with the assists and rebounds, shot 41% from deep, including an even better mark from the corner, shooting around 44% from out there. The man has developed a jump shot and has not looked back, is an underrated 3-and-D player still. And today he showed exactly why Dante DiVincenzo out of nowhere became expendable, to the point where the Knicks were willing to move him in order to acquire a guy they've been trying to trade for since 5 years ago. It's one of these situations where, and we'll get into it, but it's one of these situations where, looking at where the Knicks are, you understand that, yes, their starting lineup has a ton of scoring between Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, the shot creation of Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby liking an increased offensive role. Everyone outside of Josh Hart knows how to score the ball very well and can do some isolation basketball if they want to. The fear was that the bench wasn't going to have that. And Mikal Bridges, it's already been said by Thibodeau, Mikal is going to get his minutes staggered so he can play with the bench, kind of be that leading shot creator off the bench unit. But still, Deuce he has to hit another level of offense still because he's their sixth man. He's got to do it regardless of anything else with the way that his shooting is, the sheer talent that he has on defense. All of that, it adds up into if he can just be able to create for himself, it is going to have a massive impact on the Knicks. It's going to help them out so much. But something that makes it easier is the fact that Tyler Kolek exists. Because going into the season, a big fear was the Knicks do not have a lot of playmaking in a passing sense players. Like, they don't have a ton of guys who are phenomenal at setting people up to score the way that Jalen Brunson is. Tyler Kolek has shown, as you mentioned, an extreme comfortability with the basketball. Look, he's older. He's 23 years old. He's not Pacome Dadier, who's 19, when we were like, who'd they just draft on the live stream that feels like it was 7,000 years ago. Right. And it's this situation where we're seeing this version of Tyler Kolek that we saw in college. He's not timid now that he's at the next level. He's comfortable there. We saw this in Summer League. He was comfortable in Summer League, hitting game winners, being their best player on the floor, being their leader. We're now seeing this once again, and I know it's preseason. I know it's the Charlotte Hornets. This is not the playoffs. This is not when it's going to really matter. Frankly, the Knicks won this game by 2 points. I couldn't have cared less if they lost this game. It doesn't mean anything. Preseason's strange. Now, Kolek, if he gets minutes, he is going to be someone who could set Deuce up to succeed. Set everyone up to succeed, really, when Jalen Brunson is off the floor. So his minutes could become very valuable very quickly. It's a matter of the fact that he's going to have to go out there and he's going to have to take those minutes away from an established veteran, specifically Cameron Payne.
100%. The thing with Tyler Kolek is we all know Coach Tibbs and we know the kind of team he likes to run, which is basically he likes to run his main players to the ground and he doesn't really like rookies. That could change barring injury. Hopefully, obviously, we don't wish injury upon anybody, but the NBA season, you never know what's going to happen. So Tyler Kolek might have moments within the season where he's going to be able to play more. But then that also brings me to another point. Like we're going to need players to step up this upcoming season. Obviously, with the departure of Randall and Dante DiVincenzo. And one of the videos that I saw this past summer that's coming to mind right now is Jericho Sims. This is kind of like out of left field, but the big man spot right now, the reason why we made the trade is because our big man position, because Mitchell Robinson is injury prone, he's going to be out for an extended period of time. So we needed to make a move for a big man. I understand that. But now behind Cat, we have Precious Achiuwa and we have Jericho Sims. Jericho Sims in the offseason, like he was working on his game. You saw him working on turnaround fadeaways with Mike Bibby. That's all well and good, but is he gonna actually be able to use that in a game? I don't think Coach Tibbs is the type of coach that's like he wants his players to do very well in their role. And Jericho Sims' role in this team is to be a backup big, clean up the glass, alter shots, block shots, the hustle plays, finish alley-oop plays as well. So I don't really think Jericho Sims is gonna have the opportunity to really show his growth. And I don't know, when I think about all that, like Tyler Kolek being a rookie, Coach Tibbs not liking rookies, Jericho Sims not really liking his players to go outside of their box, like we need different players to step up, but I don't really know like their ceiling. I don't really know if Coach Tibbs is going to allow them to expand their games. There's just a lot of questions in this upcoming season, man. But going back to the actual preseason game, the starting five, Jalen Brunson at the 1, Josh Hart started at the 2, Mikal at the 3, OG at the 4, and Cat at the 5. I know we're gonna get into Cat, but I feel like I had to say this. In the first half, the Knicks took 7 threes, and guess who took 5 of them?
The big fella,
Karl Anthony Towns. And
the best shooting big man on planet Earth.
Can we get into it? I guess.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so we haven't done a duo breaking down the trade. You've done your videos individually. I've done my videos individually. Listen, man, I don't know, man. I don't know, bro. Tell me how you feel.
All right, so the day that the Knicks traded for Towns, I was on a live stream, and I basically said the Knicks are going to make a trade. A lot of Knicks fans are going to think that they're trading the worst, or that they're acquiring the worst player for who they're trading away, and also they're giving someone else away. Once he texted that, me with no other knowledge of it said, it's Randall and Towns. They're getting traded for each other. It's been something that's been brewing for years now. The Knicks have been willing to trade Julius Randle to acquire Towns. They've wanted Towns. And I made a trade reaction video minutes after the trade happened. And I think the important thing that I did note, outside of being very upset about the trade, is the fact that the front office has done a phenomenal job at building a winner. I mean, when Leon Rose acquired this team, it was Julius Randle becoming Julius Randle was their leader, along with RJ Barrett. Rest of the starting lineup was Alfred Payton, Maurice Harkless, and Taj Gibson. Essentially, you're looking at this Knicks team, and everything that Leon Rose has done has led to a starting five of Jalen Brunson, who's a top 10 NBA player.
Facts.
Mikal Bridges, one of the best two-way players in the league, second in Defensive Player of the Year a few years ago when he got to play the role that he belongs in, the one that he's back in. OG Anunoby, one of the best defenders in basketball. Josh Hart, arguably the best pure role player in the game today. Karl Anthony Towns, say what you will about him, he is an all-star. He does fit this team. The fear with Randle was that he was going to want too much money, and the Knicks were not going to be willing to pay him, and they were willing. They have the biggest analytics department in basketball. To them, they decided the numbers said essentially, okay, we could trade DiVincenzo. It won't affect our wins rate as much. And also, yes, we're trading away Dante DiVincenzo, best single-season shooter in Knicks history. Karl Anthony Towns is the most talented shooting big man in the NBA. And when it comes to an evenness, I'm not calling him the best scoring big man in basketball. I want to be very clear about that. When it comes to evening everything out, looking at the three, looking at the mid-range, looking in the paint, Towns is the most well-rounded three-level scorer of every center in basketball because he shoots over 40% from three. If Towns can shoot over 40% from three this season, which he should in a 5-out system that works really well for him, this trade makes perfect sense, especially because he fits way better next to Mitchell Robinson than Julius Randle did. There's always the fear of, you run a Randle Brunson pick and roll. One, Randle didn't love setting screens for some reason, which was strange because he's a Mack truck. But with that happening, you can always just play drop coverage, force Julius Randle to shoot jump shots. It's not the worst defensive possession. The Knicks, that Brunson Towns pick and roll, when you have Deuce, Mikal, OG on the floor, there's not much to be done about it. You got 40% shooters, or you got 3 other 40% shooters from three out there with 2 other 40% shooters from three. You're going to have a successful offense. And when you have 2 of the best defenders in basketball, in Mikal, in OG, on the floor, the rim protection is not going to be a huge thing, just on the fact of how often are they getting to the rim. And against Embiid, if they don't have Mitch, yeah, the Knicks will be in trouble. There's not too many other skilled big men in the Eastern Conference who are score first. Yes, Bam is skilled. Yes, Porzingis is skilled. Porzingis is coming off a knee injury.
He's
Bam, phenomenal player. Yeah. Sorry?
Kristaps is always injured. Listen,
that's a fact. But yeah.
Listen, man. Oh my God, yo. This whole time, even with 2 weeks, a week after the trade, I'm still in limbo, bro. Because, listen, the whole statistical and analytics. I know Karl Anthony Towns statistically is the best big man shooting three we've had in the NBA. I get that, but what I look for Karl Anthony Towns, I look for the intangibles, and his potential since he came into the league has been through the roof, and I have not seen him put it together once. His basketball IQ is one of the worst I've ever seen. He commits fouls away from the rim that are so stupid, and he commits those fouls in very important moments. He committed those fouls against the Memphis Grizzlies when he was in the playoffs against them. He committed those stupid fouls last year in the playoffs. Anthony Edwards, with Karl Anthony Towns on the team, the ascension of Anthony Edwards, it overtook Karl Anthony Towns. It was very obvious. Everybody could see it. It wasn't Karl Anthony Towns anymore. It wasn't his team anymore. But when it was Karl Anthony Towns' team, before Anthony Edwards made that ascension, Karl Anthony Towns did what? Did he lead the Minnesota Timberwolves past the first round of the playoffs? No. Did he have winning seasons with the Minnesota Timberwolves? I'm sure he did, but it wasn't a crazy number where he had to be in MVP talks. And then Karl Anthony Towns, where is he in the conversation of best big man in the league? It's Jokic and Embiid. Karl Anthony Towns is kind of an afterthought. And then I look at I just don't know if he could put it all together, man. And I'm just very worried, man. I just think we had a better chance of Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo. I felt like we should have given them the opportunity, at least play half of the season. I get it, man. The Julius Randle contract negotiations, I get it. The rumors of Dante DiVincenzo not being happy with his role in this upcoming season, I get it. There's a lot of noise, but I felt like we had something so special, and at least give it an opportunity. Let's see if there are bright spots. And then by halfway through the season, by trade deadline, then let's make the move. And giving up Julius Randle prior to last season, he was a 2-time All-NBA player. He was a 2-time or 3-time All-Star. He's the one that really started this turnaround for the New York Knicks. So salute to Julius Randle. You guys know me. I'm a huge critiquer of Julius Randle, but I got to give him his respect. But what we gave up for Karl Anthony Towns, man, I don't think it was worth it. And I'm really worried about Karl Anthony Towns in the playoffs. The regular season is the regular season. We're probably going to finish top 4 in the East. But the NBA, we all know you make your name in the playoffs. And Karl Anthony Towns, when he's been to the playoffs, it's been pretty bad. It's been pretty bad. His first time going to the playoffs, they lost in 5 to the Houston Rockets. His second time going to the playoffs, they lost in 7 games in the first round to the Memphis Grizzlies, where the Memphis Grizzlies, it was their first time collectively with Ja Morant, Dillon Brooks, Desmond Bane, Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, who else was on the team? I forgot. But Karl Anthony Towns had way more experience, and he was the best player on the floor, in my opinion, in that moment in time. And it took you 7 games? You lost in the first round in 7 games? There's just a lot of questions around Karl Anthony Towns. And then you have the fact that he loves shooting the three-pointer, and then you have the fact that he has that stigma of being soft. Dude, bro, I just don't know, man. I just don't know. I don't know. And I thought that with time after this trade, I thought my mind would be clear, and I'm still in limbo. I'm still super frustrated.
I've warmed up to it on the sense that I like the fit better. I think it is wild how many moves the Knicks made after being a game away from the conference finals, when legitimately by the end of the season, the only starter healthy was Dante DiVincenzo. It was wild to make the trade. But the Knicks knew that Randle was gonna command too much money, and when you're in that situation, it becomes almost there's not much for them to do. Like once Randle had essentially decided, I'm not taking another pay cut, you better pay me, and the Knicks realized they're going to be a second apron team anyway, they decided to go with someone who they understood more in town, someone who is part of that CAA circle, essentially. I'm not saying that as a positive. I'm saying that as a more statement of fact. And you look at the Knicks, I do think they got better through this. I don't think the loss of DiVincenzo is going to hurt that much if Deuce keeps playing the way that he showed he can. I honestly like the fit of Towns. At the same time, I'm not going to do a full 180 from last week. I said this years ago before I could say it on YouTube. The fact is, Karl Anthony Towns fouled out of back-to-back elimination games in that Grizzlies series. That's atrocious. There's no way around it. The hope is that the Knicks brought in Mark Bryant, one of the best big men coaches in basketball, who really helped Jalen Duren figure his stuff out, just in general as a basketball player. They have Tom Thibodeau, who's a phenomenal coach when it comes to getting players right defensively. I really do believe, especially once Towns can be hidden on defense, once Mitch gets back, you still have this beautiful 4-out fit where you have Mitch, who's the best offensive rebounder in basketball. He's going to create, Mitch, is going to create open looks for the team. The highest percentage of open look threes in basketball today are off of offensive rebounds. The Knicks have the best at that. So it does make some sense. Let's surround this team full of shooters, make it a really coherent squad. I definitely didn't like it partially because I love Julius Randle and I love Dante DiVincenzo and I didn't want to see them go. At the same time, I think this will age well. You're banking on Julius, who has had 2 season-altering injuries in a row now. Also, and I think there's a huge reason why. Also, it's not like he's been someone who's been game-changing in the playoffs either. I think the Knicks went out there and made a move to essentially decide we now have this core of Brunson, Cat, OG, and McHale together until 2028. We have a 4-year window. We can develop guys such as Deuce McBride, such as Tyler Kolek, such as Pacome Dadier. We have moves we could still make. They have that Achua contract, which by December 15th is tradable. They could do something with that. They could always do something with Mitch's contract, adjust the team a little bit more if they want to. I think this trade's going to age well for the Knicks, despite the fact that I hated it at first. I'm still worried. I think you're banking on a lot to go well. It raises the Knicks' ceiling. It just also lowers the floor. And I agree with you. I agree that they probably should have waited because how good they looked when they were all together last season. But at the same time, you have to get to a point where you're like, if Randall's not going to come back, or if we can't afford Julius Randle, we can't let other teams know that, or his value is going to shrink.
Listen,
we can get Karl Towns.
I want to root for Cat, bro. He's my doppelganger. He's Dominican. I'm Dominican, bro. He's super tall. I'm super tall. Like, dude, I didn't make it to the NBA, obviously. So I've always looked at him as like, man, thank you. I always looked at him like, man, if I would have made it to NBA, I would have had a career like Cat, except I would have been better because my skills are unmatched. But anyway, yo, I wanna root for Cat, bro. It's just, I don't know if we can. It's like, I feel like a lot of this is gonna depend on Cat's shoulders. And again, I don't care what he does in the regular season. I just care about crunch time, playoffs. Is he going to show up when the lights are the brightest? Is he going to show up when the defense of the opposite team is going to shut down Jalen Brunson, obviously? Jalen Brunson is going to show up. He's been doing it for the last 2 seasons for the Knicks. Yeah. Cat has not done it in the playoffs. And this is going to be, his 9th, 10th season, bro?
Year 10.
He's year 10. Oh, my God. And, dude, again, I'm just in limbo. But the last thing that I'll say is, I'm going to harp back on Donte DiVincenzo. Donte DiVincenzo had a record year with the New York Knicks in three-pointers made, three-pointers shot, all that stuff. That's definitely going to be something that we need to, attack via committee. Landry Shamet, I feel like Landry Shamet, hopefully he makes the team, which I think he will. Landry Shamet, Deuce McBride, obviously Karl Anthony Towns because he's the best big man shooting 3 of all time. So it's going to be like a committee that's going to be able to, replace the production that Donte DiVincenzo had last season. Mm-hmm. So as far as the shooting, that is, dude, there's just so many questions, bro. And I just hope that Cat really comes up big, and I hope he puts it together this season. Am I confident that he's going to? No, but one could hope, and I'm a little bit more on the pessimistic side of this trade. So
I will say, I think this team fits better for Towns than any team he's ever been on, just in the style of play. He has a point guard who could set him up well. Not trashing Mike Conley, just saying Brunson offers more as a point guard. But he has a point guard who can set him up well, surrounded by shooters. He can work inside, he can work outside. And he's not the focal point of the offense, so I think this could work. Also might not. Knicks brought in Alex McConnell, who will probably get a 2-way contract. The man's a pure shooter, obviously not going to do much. Shamet will make the team. The Knicks can offer one. They have a few Exhibit 10 contracts between Chuma Okeke and Landry Shamet. They can only bring one of them on, or they'll be in the second apron. It's going to be Landry Shamet. Shamet had a great game also.
Facts. I think it needs to be Shamet because he's known to be able to spread the floor shooting the 3. Mm-hmm. So I think it needs to be Shamet.
Yeah, and Chuma's known for getting injured all the time. So it's going to be Landry Shamet. I'm going to let Dariel do the outro because he's better at it.
Oh, you want me to do the outro? Damn.
You're doing the outro.
Pressure, but I'm up for it, baby. The duos are back. The Knicks season is back. The best duo of all time. And once again, signing off for Chris and I, Jalen Brunson for all the MVPs. The Deuce is loose for co-MVP. Taj Gibson for president. Mikal Bridges for defensive player of the year. And I'm sure by the end of this season, I'm going to have more of those. So until next time, guys, we'll check you out on the next video. Peace.